Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich talks with community leaders about issues in the public safety arena. Sponsored by River Ridge Hardware.
Welcome to the Sheriff's Report. This is Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich. It's been a while since we've done one of these type of programs where a good friend of mine and the owner-operator of the network I'm on here will come in and ask questions that he is hearing out in the public, the burning issues that people want to talk about. And I think it's been a little bit too long of time that we've done this, because I think that Kent brings a good perspective of truly what is on people's minds out there. So in studio with me today is my good friend, Kent Adams.
Thank you.
And why don't we just get right into it? What are you hearing out there? What's on people's minds?
I'm hearing a fairly strong message. Our focus here has been on small business and community. Thus, we have a lot of small business people who come in and are trying to eke their way through a living and keep their employees and everything else. And then community groups that come in. And I'm hearing loud and clear a big concern. A lot of it is labeled homelessness, but I think it's more than that. And I think, as you mentioned before we went on, it goes back to some change in laws and so forth, even one voted by the voters, okay? And my wife won't come downtown. I know of other wives and other ladies who won't go downtown. It's a shame, because we have a beautiful downtown, and as the snow disappears and we get into spring and so forth, I love, it's the best time in Spokane, downtown. It really is. Well, in the whole area too, of course. But I'm very concerned about essentially the state legislature a couple of years ago legalized drugs by not giving them, or not wanting to either arrest them or the state put them in prison for a while. And that doesn't help. That doesn't help the individual, number one, and it certainly doesn't help us out in the community. But I think it goes back to something even before that, doesn't it?
It does, but let me give you a little bit of a perspective on that.
Okay.
The state legislature wanted to change the laws and make them less restrictive.
Yeah.
They knew that was going to be not so popular with the vast majority of the state. Now, it would be very popular with the social justice warrior, the progressive Marxist politician and activist, but mom and pop weren't really okay with total legalization of drugs.
Right.
What they did, Kent, and what the state Supreme Court did for them was the state Supreme Court, in a very bad ruling, nullified the statute that controlled possession of drugs, said it was unconstitutional. Now, the state legislature had the opportunity last year to fix that.
Right.
And they chose really not to.
Yeah.
The fix that they came up with basically was, well, if a law enforcement officer finds drugs on you and they can't arrest you, they have to give you a referral to help. Now, that happens up to 3 times, and after the 3rd time, then they can be arrested. And here's the problem. There's no statewide system to track these contacts, and there's no way to really hold people accountable during that time frame. I mean, if we had the old system where we could arrest them, we could get them into drug court.
They're in a system at that point.
Right? Get them into drug court. Right. Drug court was very effective in trying to get people break that cycle of addiction, but there's nothing. There's no supervision, no anything. No, here's a referral to a place and go from there. But you mentioned
does the left not want to help these people?
The left does not want to. They don't want the
Just kind of a
solutions. They
free-for-all.
don't want to fix these solutions. They come at this under, oh, it's not compassionate. Tell me what's compassionate about
Yes.
letting somebody destroy their lives by using drugs. And I look at what they've done as basically state-sponsored homicide, allowing people to pump poison into their bodies is Russian roulette for these people, and they die.
It
And I'm
destroys
tired.
them. It destroys their family
Yes.
if they have a family.
It does. So let's go back a few more years.
Yes.
Let's go back to when we, the people,
Yes.
voted to legalize marijuana.
Did
You-
we not think there would be an effect from that?
No, because what did the progressives and what did the progressive politicians tell us? Oh, the cartels will go away. People,
Oh, sure.
you know, young kids will not have access to marijuana. Everything's going to be fine. And more importantly, these politicians went and look at all the money that we can get from taxes with this. Well, look at all the money that you may have gotten from the taxes, but how much of that money are you now spending to fix the homeless issues that spawned from
Right.
that, the drug addiction issues that spawned from that? We knew this going in because alcohol is roughly, I'm just going to round numbers, a 10 billion or a $1 billion a year industry, let's say. Now, these are round numbers.
Right.
I'm just giving you the proportion. That's how much taxes they generate, is about $1 billion a year. The amount of taxes that it costs to fix all the problems that just alcohol brings us is 86 billion. 86 billion.
Even I can figure out that math isn't
No.
good.
So what do you think about, what we're dealing with? I mean, when I watched Colorado, because they legalized about 18 months, 2 years before we did. So I watched Colorado to see what was coming our way.
Yes.
Right after legalization of marijuana here, I started having pastors from the downtown core, the churches downtown,
Really?
coming to my office going, this is bad. This is really, really bad. It's really bad for our congregations. Our people don't want to come to church because of everything's going on. They're putting a dispensary, a marijuana shop right next to my church. This is horrible. Fast forward a few more years, you start seeing an explosion of homelessness in the area.
Yes.
And then you start seeing more and more issues downtown. Compound that with the fact of what the state Supreme Court did, and then take a look at the fact that our governor had about 6 years ago went with least restrictive alternatives for mental health issues,
Right.
meaning least restrictive means no one gets institutionalized. You go to the least restrictive means.
But I'm
So-
sorry, some of those people really need help.
They do.
Serious help.
They do.
Ozzie.
But here's the nefarious aspect of this. They get released from the institutions into halfway houses.
Yeah.
When they fail at the halfway house, rather than being brought back to the institution, they are kicked to the street. So you have, talking with Rob McCann from Catholic Charities, about 86% of the homeless that they deal with have severe mental health
Yes.
issues.
Yes.
And we didn't see this coming. We didn't anticipate this. No, there were people that put up the warning flags, but the media and their very Marxist supporting
Yep.
views, they refuse to cover those type of stories. I mean, I have 2 interviews with the Spokesman Review today, 2 different reporters, 2 different issues. Every one of those issues is bent towards, one is, how dare you spend any money on law enforcement? That is the tone of what this interview is going to be about. And it's like, because this community isn't about defunding and you're out of touch, You might want to check your algorithm that you use
Right.
to determine what people are thinking, because this community doesn't think that way. And that's why the spokesman is in big trouble right now.
Yes.
They're in huge trouble because they have taken this massive swing to the progressive Marxist viewpoint. The next one interview that I have is basically on the same frame of how dare we do anything good for law enforcement, because this community says that they want it. And the most important, amazing part about this is, in the stories that this reporter did prior about the new training center that is about ready to be built, one of a kind partnership with the military. The military is looking at making this a model for across the nation, saving the taxpayers of this community millions of dollars, and doing the one thing that progressive liberals and the progressive liberal media should be happy about, is we're doubling down on providing the best training possible for law enforcement. And they still grouse about it. Why? Because they're so wrapped up into defund. Well, when are they going to learn, or when are they going to get a clue that the United States is across the board, the citizens of the country have rejected that, and now you're facing all these major crime increases. Kent, I don't understand them.
I don't either, and I'm very disappointed in the spokesman review. I think it's indicative of their editor and so forth, not so much the family, because the family has holdings in downtown and so forth, and wants a safe place. I tend to believe that so much of what they do is they'll interview you today, 2 interviews. Most of the story will never be said. They'll leave out the parts that are important to the rest of us in this community.
I got something for them, though, Kent.
Huh?
I'm recording those interviews.
Well,
I'm going to have them on video.
Yes.
And we're going to post them on our Facebook and YouTube channels for the sheriff's
Good for you.
office.
That's-
We're tired of it.
Let-
Kent, this one reporter spent 8 hours with not only my staff, but our citizen advisory board, listening to us explain why the state of Washington's training of law enforcement is broke and how we wanted to help fix it. The headline of the story read this way: Sheriff wants to reduce law enforcement training. That's what our citizens learned from the spokesman review, which is nowhere near the truth. And the citizen advisory board members, they looked at me and went, Sheriff, how could that happen? She sat here for 4 hours with us. We thought she got it. How did it come out that you
when
wanted?
you have a preconceived answer. Okay.
Her story was already written.
One of the things I've learned, and obviously you have too, is that because I've received calls from the newspaper media in this town in the past couple of years, and I won't talk on the phone, number one, and number two, they have to come in and I do record it.
Yes.
Okay, because I know what will be taken out of it, which is, and we've seen that. We saw a hit job last week on the county prosecutor because of something his wife said. It did. Now I guess we're responsible. I don't know about you, but I'm not responsible for my wife a lot of things she does and says, okay? But apparently, I mean, it's amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. That's one of the reasons we've entered the news game more in Spokane, okay? Is because we want to tell the whole story. We want to tell, the fact is news really does matter. And we need to hear not a filtered, but what is really going on and what the effects are on us as citizens. And that's where I come from.
Our founding fathers knew the importance of a free media, free press.
Yes.
All right? They knew that importance. Matter of fact, they knew that importance to the level of they gave them constitutional protections.
Yes.
The problem is, with those constitutional protections came a great responsibility of not to put their opinions
or clearly label when It's an opinion piece.
Exactly. But if you're a journalist and you're an investigative journalist, your opinion does not belong anywhere.
Yeah.
It is give me the facts so I can determine what is actually going on and get your facts straight. I will tell you, Kent, if some of these reporters, one of them who I have to do an interview with today, worked for me, they wouldn't work for me.
Yeah.
I would have fired them
Is that a
because
Sean?
they do not get it right. And quite frankly, if a deputy wrote their police reports with that amount of inaccuracy,
You'd be crucified as a sheriff.
not only that,
Your department.
there would be they wouldn't be working for the sheriff's office anymore. So I don't understand why they accept that type of work product. But I shouldn't say that because it's no longer about fact. It's about whatever bent they're on.
Yeah.
And, I've watched.
The headline sells.
Yeah. I've watched the spokesman do this over 16 years, and I had pretty high hopes with the current editor, but with the track it's on right now, I see nothing but a nosedive for that organization.
Yeah.
And that's why, Kent, when I do speaking engagements, when I do shows like this, I ask the public, how long are you going to allow this to happen? How long do you allow this misinformation to be put out about the important things affecting your life? There's one way to fix it. You don't have to buy the product.
Right. Okay, so we've gotten into this issue with a couple of laws that changed, a lot more freedom for folks who are on drugs and their ability to get worse. I don't know how else to say it. What's in the legislature now, and what hopes do we have to get some of that changed? Because that's what I hear from folks in the community. Well, Kent, what are we going to do about it? I said, well, my first answer is the easy one. Maybe fire some current legislators and replace, but that's not always easy, okay? But
it's easier than people think, because if they're really tired of it, I watch it happen all the time. I mean, look at Virginia.
Yes.
Look what almost happened to New Jersey.
Yes.
I mean, that should have, and it did send shockwaves.
Yes.
But here's where we're at. Here's a story that our local media has not and will not, because it's a will not now, because they've been told multiple times about it by yours truly.
Yes.
The AG came out with a rendering of his interpretation and his view of the laws, the reform laws that were passed last year. Now, if you remember last year, we had activists and we had progressive elected officials,
Yes.
even from our area,
Yes.
say that police chiefs and sheriffs are lying about these reforms.
Yes.
They're painting this inaccurate
Scaremongers.
picture. It's scaremongering.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. Guess what the AG had to say? The AG said, it's worse.
Okay.
He said, you didn't define what force is. You didn't define.
Our AG did that in
yes,
this state?
It was amazing, Ken.
Wow.
It is an amazing read. Last week's show was all about the AG's, decision. And he basically told, well, I won't say basically, he did tell them,
Yes.
you need to fix this.
Yes.
You have given laws that have no clarity. You have damaged the ability of law enforcement to do certain
So what's
aspects.
the response been?
This has been the response. Totally silence. Have you seen this on KXLY, on CREM, in the Spokesman Review? Have you seen it on any of them?
No.
No. Because it doesn't, in their mind, it's not what sells. That
Right,
clickbait.
right.
It's
You know,
not,
I know.
what better clickbait could there be? AG tells legislature, fix your laws.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge.
That's not
clickbait.
sexy.
But, it's for a lot of people would be. It's huge clickbait, but it's clickbait going the wrong direction
Right,
because
right.
of their bent.
Well, you've got one socialist news director in town. You've got another station up on the hill that has kids who are trying out to see if they'll even get to a second station in the Tegna system. And honestly, I know enough at KHQ and other places too. It's hard to get reporters these days with any real experience. We're right after college or university. Experience for a lot of these folks, they don't come with any real life story history, okay, that
What's
some of
even
us older folks have.
what's even worse is they come from a college institutional setting
Yes.
that has preached the
Yes.
exact opposite of
Yeah,
what they
yeah.
should be doing.
Yeah.
You know, the council culture. If
Yeah.
you don't like them, you go after them, and you know,
Yes.
it is just amazing to watch. So the AG comes out with this opinion. Right now in the Senate, you have 1519 or 5919, Senate Bill 5919, which does a great deal to fix the damage that was done last year.
Oh, good, good.
However, in the House, you have the House bill that makes it worse. So hold your breath, folks, because we don't know which one's going to come out on top at the end of this.
Right.
So you have competing measures going through. It is not a good scenario. And the Senate bill, at least, is bipartisan. It's sponsored by bipartisan legislators.
Right.
And here's the real truth of the matter. You have two Spokane County legislators that are in leadership position
Yes,
for the Democratic Party. You
Yes.
have Senator Andy Billick,
yes.
which is the majority leader of the Senate, and Marcus Riccelli, which I believe is the third ranking member in the House
Yep.
majority, Democratic majority. You would think that they would be able to fix this problem because they are leaders of that, and they do have the ability to do this right, to have bipartisan sponsorship of their legislation.
Well, especially when they're hearing from the AG who is of their party, okay? And we've seen him the last few years, not always been friendly with what I would call smart decisions and so forth,
Well, let me
taking
just-
some of our money and suing us as citizens and everything else. But he clearly said, according to what you've said, clearly stated that this needs to be changed, it's wrong. And yet they're not reacting to that in a positive way.
We'll have to wait, but
Yeah.
as far as AG, this is the most anti-law enforcement AG I've seen in the 16 years of being
Yeah,
sheriff.
yeah.
I've never seen a more anti-law enforcement AG.
That's
And to have that decision come out did give me a little bit more faith in, okay,
but not if nothing happens because of
if
it.
nothing happens,
What's the point?
but at least we know that
it's
the
safe for
AG
him. He
Yeah.
looks good.
yeah, at least we know the AG was listening to the people,
Right.
and that's what he should be doing, because across the state, people are going, okay, this is unacceptable. What you have done is unacceptable. The spiraling crime rate is unacceptable. And Kent, I will tell you this very bluntly. This year, if people wake up, you can do exactly what needs to be done, what you mentioned
Right.
earlier in the show.
Yes.
You can stop electing these people
Yes.
that have caused this mess, and you can elect people that are dedicated to fixing it and to serving you rather than their parties.
Yes.
This is what's wrong with us today.
Yes.
These people.
Well, it's that way across America.
Yep. These
It's
people
about
serve
party,
the
not
party
about
rather
Americans.
than serving us.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's time to focus on, forget the letters behind people's names.
Yes.
Ask them one question.
Right.
Are you a socialist? Are you an extreme rightist? Because if you want my endorsement, those are the two questions I am asking right now. Are you a Marxist socialist? Are you an extreme right? Because if you're on either one of those sectors, you will not get my endorsement. I'm done.
Right.
the 80% of us sitting here in the middle that are waking up and going, what happened to our country? Well, vote in the primaries, make sure these extremists don't get in anymore,
yes.
and then vote for people of conscience, of integrity, and people that are dedicated to serving you and not their party.
I don't know how much time we have left.
We don't have a time
oh,
set
okay.
anymore because
Oh.
we don't do radio anymore,
Oh,
so
okay.
we can have a
Oh,
conversation.
okay. So, okay, you here till noon, right?
Yeah. No, I'm here for 5 more minutes. We got 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, let's simplify it a little bit, because one of the things I hear from the community of all of the drug use and everything else downtown, it's a homeless issue. People zero in on that. They talk about, we have a terrible homeless issue and so forth. How do we get people to realize that it's more than just the homeless, it's drug problems and so forth? Because it's not the homeless issue that you and I remember from 20 years ago.
No.
Okay?
Here's where your problem with the homeless issue is. The homeless issue problem is the media refuses to tell the fact about what is going on. Matter of fact, they aid and abet the narrative of, oh, this is local.
Yeah.
These are local people. Not so much.
Yeah.
And this is a housing issue. This is not a housing issue.
Yeah.
All right. The only way this is a housing issue, if you want to frame it into terms of low barrier housing,
Yes.
which means you don't have to change. You can drink, you can do drugs, you can do everything. You can get put in a place to live and destroy it. And we saw that happen when we took and put these folks in the arena, and to get them out of the cold, what they do? Destroyed it.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
It was horrific. I mean, some of the stories that came out of what they actually did, this was bad.
Well, it's still not open because they have repairs to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have that action of it, of the drugs driving it, the mental health issues driving it, and the co-occurring drug and mental health issues driving it, and then you have people making extreme profits from it, and actually trying to extort the community into giving them more money. What do you think this camp out here on Freya and Thor is all about? That was put up there by people that want the city to get into another contract with them, so they can make big money.
It's all money. It's
and
all about
not
money.
solve the issue.
It is.
And we're spending great tax dollars not to fix the true issue. The true issue is not economic. It is not housing. It is mental health driven and drug driven. And until you want to face that fact, we do not fix the homeless issue in this community.
Ozzie, thank you for all of your years of service. It's coming to an end, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's just starting to really sink in.
You're not going to run for re-election this
not.
fall.
No.
Yeah. You had tinkered with it a little bit, which
I
a few months back.
I still love this community.
Yes, I know
still
you do.
love the job.
Yes.
The agency I work for is the best in the state.
Yes.
And I don't say that because I'm the sheriff or trying to gain points.
Oh, I've met some of your people when
is.
they've come in. You've got great people.
They truly do a great job for this community. However, 32 years.
Yes.
And my wife in 2017 said, December 28th, exact date. Okay, Ozzie, I get it. You have a few more things you'd like to accomplish.
Yes.
You care about the community.
You do.
Care about the agency. You're worried about leaving in this time of unsettlement with the profession. I get that.
However,
one more term.
Yeah.
But Ozzie, understand this. It's one more term. So on our trip back from visiting the kids over Christmas, at the same area of the conversation happened on the same day of the year, or that it happened, December 28th, this time of 2000.
kind of an indicator, wasn't it?
And 21.
Yeah.
I looked at her and went, so I'm not going to get a reprieve? And she just said, we're not having that discussion.
Okay, that makes it loud and clear. Families of all of our deputies and our policemen in town and so forth live with a fear, live with confidence that they really are loved in this community. But the spouses and the families put up with an awful lot. When the emergency happens, you guys drop everything and go. At some point, she deserves some time with you to see you not under that pressure and so forth. You going to name a favorite person?
One of my undersheriffs has decided to step up,
Okay.
and his name is John Knowles, and
Okay.
he will have my endorsement.
Good.
And
Okay. That's good for me.
and we'll go from there.
Yes. Ozzie?
But you know, the amazing part about that, Kent, is this community has given me so much.
Yeah.
This community has supported me above my measure,
Yes.
and
But
all
you
I can
have
say to
supported this
them is thank you for everything
Yes.
you've done for me.
No, thank you for the leadership, the integrity you've had. Maybe not everybody's liked every decision you've made, but you've made the decision based on integrity and what's best for this community. We can't ask for more. So thank you very much on behalf of the community for all you've done. Really do appreciate it. I've enjoyed the last few years of getting to know you as a person as well as our sheriff, and I have the most respect for you. I really do. We're going to miss you.
Well,
But
thank you.
But if you have another one in line, I'm sure he will be good too.
Yeah, he will do an outstanding job. He's
Good.
got great ideas, great philosophies. So we'll go from there. And Ken, I think we'll leave it there before people see me get sentimental. So
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm tearing up a little bit because of friendship. Okay. All right. Ozzie, thank you very much.
thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich with the Sheriff's Report. Have a good day.
Thanks for watching. Ask the host a question, recommend a guest, or check out any of our other programs on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Sponsored by River Ridge Hardware.